Hello and welcome to Strictly Broken Brews. I'm your host Christian Jawacher, and today I have with me a special guest who can introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Tim Tom, the Bim Bom.
Okay. And I guess not a lot of people noticed or cared, but I'm sorry for not making videos for a while. I was like very busy with like end of year exams and then the Worlds, and then like I got lazy and didn't wake up in time to like record with other people, so everything just got delayed. But now we're like back on track to regular releases, hopefully. And today it's just gonna be hopefully a short video on like updates for Kimono, which I did like a while back, and the quote unquote meta build changed. So we'll talk about that a bit, and then we'll talk a bit about Monogatari after ban list update, which should also be fairly short. So. Um,
Exciting.
Yeah, exciting. Sets that people want, a set that people wanted to play again with, only to realize it still sucks. Um, but yeah, basically the crux of all the quote unquote meta Kemono deck is the interaction between like basically dolphins and alpaca, and there's like two main ways to go about building this deck, which one is book standby and the other one is book stock soul, and it actually ends up having some differences in how you build the deck and how the deck itself plays out a bit. Uh, yeah. The- I'll start with the book standby, and I guess you can talk a bit about the level zero lineup since this is your
Yeah,
list.
sure. Um, four Kaban is Well, four Kaban Kaban's like the only four Kaban. The Kabans are pretty standard, I think.
Yeah, Carbon
Across
Bonder
most
is
builds,
pretty.
they're pretty good. Since this deck runs standby, I chose the Monkey as the level zero beater of choice because I think most standby lists want some kind of milling a level zero to get more targets into the waiting room. Um, and I run like and the raccoon I think and the fox are just like alternate level zero pluses.
North
The
African
fox,
crested porcupine.
oh, it's the porcupine. Crap. Okay.
What a secondary.
The porcupine came up not as like in relation to standby at all. It's just like a nice card.
It's
Uh,
also red.
to Yeah, it's also red, but it's mostly as like another way to get dolphins in case you mill them out early. The fox is like an experiment. It's like a really. It started out as a very experimental card that I ended up keeping in the deck because I think it's really cool. Uh, it solves this issue that the deck sometimes had with getting blue in time at level one because you don't really want to clock and level any of your blue cards going into level one because it's usually like the your level one combo or dolphins, both of which are cards you do not want to get rid of. So the fox, even if it misses, ended up being really useful for the deck. So
Yeah.
that's the level zero lineup.
Level one lineup should be the same for both decks. It's just actually one other piece is missing from like the trifecta, I guess, of Alpaca and Dolphin, and that's the free fresh.
Yeah,
Uh
I
Lucky
think
Beast.
both. I think you run both cards because Lucky Beast is so good. I think uh, in most
Well,
other decks, Lucky Beast is pretty bad, right? Because it's like a -1. It's hard for most decks to keep sustaining that
the
cost.
Lucky Beast in other decks is like panic button usually,
Well,
or
I'm saying like even if you could search this profile in other decks don't like plus enough really because it's still a
yeah,
-1 when you play it.
yeah.
So
You like other decks don't like have a game plan to like use this effect repeatedly.
yeah.
In other decks, it's mostly a panic button, whereas here this is actually part of the game plan.
Mhm.
So level one combo is Magaro mainly because you want to mill through your first deck fast. Because the goal is to start fielding dolphins and then like just keep fielding dolphins, and dolphins are pretty bad in the first deck just because you eat a lot of damage compared to like later, or like more damage compared to second deck. So you just want to
Mhm.
accelerate to that, and Maguro combo is the best way to go about it, simply.
Mhm.
And yeah, Brainstorm is Kavan is obviously the better Brainstorm for this deck because it's self tap, and your other back row also wants to rest itself, so you don't want to play a rest 2
It's
Brainstorm.
also the only brainstorm that can
That
search for
searches,
Lucky Beast.
yeah, also searches Makeup, which
Mhm.
nothing else does yet. So yeah, general game plan is just mill through the deck, grab the dolphin pieces, and then like spam dolphins and just attack for like 1/1/1 or 2/2/2 if you play a climax, and with plus triggers, and like have alpaca and back to like keep building resources and build compression, and then just like basically kill the opponent by 1,000 cuts of tiny swings while you cancel. And Lucky Beast helps with that, where you can like manipulate your deck and your opponent's deck to a point where you're very often in a favorable position. And it's not just like for damage purposes, but also like you can mess up your opponent's timings on early plays. You can mess up their chances to stock swap, like their effectiveness of stock swapping you. Because stock swap only affects your chances to cancel when you stock swap them and then put them into a new deck. Because cards from the top of your deck are random in order.
Yeah.
What was the other one? You can also mess up like ReZero, for example. Rem would be a very problematic card for this deck because you just keep running into it and she keeps getting markers for compression. If you play Lucky
It
Beast,
also
there's no
just
waiting
screws up.
room.
It also just screws up compression. I think like something that comes up a lot is cycling this card. So if you're swinging for not that much every turn, if your opponent ends up in a like a it's like so what happens sometimes is that your opponent just doesn't cancel your swings right for one or whatever, and then they end up in an even more compressed state, and you can use Lucky Beast to reset that and say, well, nice try. You worked really hard for your compression, now it's gone.
Uh,
Stuff like that. You can also mess up like you can make it. You can also do things like make it as if like they hadn't refreshed with their clock at all without their clock, right? That's a pretty big timing that I think a lot of decks try to hit.
yeah,
Lucky Beast screws that up as well. It's a pretty powerful card.
yeah. Alpaca is here for stock charging to like help you build more resources and like feed into your compression game plan. And then the level 3 lineup is a bit different between decks because this one runs the Lion and the other ones don't. I've seen like people run more copies of this, though I'm not particularly a fan of the card itself, so I can understand only running one. Uh, yeah, and event counter. This deck doesn't actually play the rest counter as often, but you still want it for like having a bond target with the double bonder, and sometimes it still ends up being useful because it's still a rest counter.
Yeah.
But like 2 copies is enough for this kind of deck, especially because you run like 3 bonders.
Yeah.
So level 3 just have serval heals, which are just heals that get big. It's just an early play that's also red. And Leon is here
This is the
for
target
standby.
for standby. Yeah.
Well, mostly the target, I guess, is the alpaca and like dolphins early on. And
Yeah, but I
then,
mean, past like once you have your pieces on board, the only thing you're standbying is usually the lion.
yeah. Which is basically a way of getting extra attacks, even if it's a bit unreliable. But what I personally hate about Lion is the ditch 2 cost. And you say you don't have a problem with it, but me and Alex, like, I think it really shreds your hand.
Man, he doesn't even play the deck right now. I think you could get used to hand sculpting in a way where you have trash in your hand that you're not going to play that turn or the next turn. I think that happens a lot actually, and yeah, you have to get used to like knowing when you can discard dolphins, because sometimes you have to do that when you play this, use this effect. I think the bond just makes it a lot better, honestly, because the bond represents more heals, and it essentially gets you extra copies of your heal even when you ditch them for the cost of this card. So, and what happens usually too is that often you might even in this deck you often hit multiple climaxes on your brainstorm. Quite often that happens a lot. So sometimes you're entering the battle phase over hand size anyways, which I think is an ideal condition for using the lion for extra damage.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll just talk about Stocksoul this real quick, and then we can like talk differences. One notable difference is that if you play Stocksoul, you have to play this card, which is the coming to play. It's a 3/5, and then on reverse it gets sent to memory when you flip friends or event or the rest counter. Because you want to hit the 2 memory condition for the server level 3 regularly, obviously, if you play the Stocksoul. Which is not a card you'd usually run, I think, even though it somewhat helps with your compression plan marginally. And because I don't need to mill, I'm like running 4Ks instead of 3/5s, and I also like wanted to have more blue just to like shore that up. And I'm also running 3-drop searchers as like stock out and like to make searching for my specific level 1 pieces more consistent. This represents like a dolphin or a level 1 combo piece. Or it can also represent like alpaca if I had to like clock the 1 in my hand, because I'm only running 5 red in this deck, which is on the low side, but it's
hard, maybe.
No, it's been working out for me since you just get this in clock at one point and then level it, and you draw another one because you run 4 copies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Level 1 lineup is exactly the same. Level 2 lineup is just like 1 more alpaca because that's my entire red, more or less. And level 3 lineup, focusing more on the serval level 3, duh. And I'm also playing 1 copy of the trial deck serval to have an option to dig for a Stocksoul. Because I guess you can already segue into this. This deck doesn't clock a lot because dolphins just keep plussing you anyways. So this deck starts clocking really early, so your chances of drawing climaxes are diminished. And Stocksoul is basically always better to play, whereas Standby is usually better to trigger. And because you have like 3 attack steps and only 1 draw step without clocking, Standby has like basically more of a chance to actually do something than Stocksoul does. On the other hand, what Stocksoul allows you to do is like it gives you an option to actually like have a not real finisher, but like a finisher on demand, more or less, unlike the Leon, which is what do I say Leon? Leon is the Logic thing. It's just a lion. Whatever.
Freudian slip.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh, right. It's a on-demand restander, and it's also like Lion usually triggers once per attack step, maybe twice. Unlikely that it's twice, usually once. And Serval, you can just like trigger 3 times and have 6 attacks, and it's pretty easy. And what the Stocksoul does, not only is it like a better climax to just straight up play throughout the game if you happen to draw it, it also somewhat pressures your opponent into actually like during the end game, you're not really putting any pressure on the opponent with either deck really, but having like the threat of having the Stocksoul forces them into committing to actually go for it at one point more so than dolphins and like standby restands would. So you get like a chance to, after the opponent commits to their like end game turn or whatever, you can like lucky beast them to basically put all their stuff that they just paid out via their stock that they just paid out back in their deck, and then like 6 attacks is pretty likely to actually kill them. And having like access to an actual finishing turn is, I think, pretty valuable for this type of deck.
Mhm.
So yeah, the reason why standby is I think defensible is exactly because you don't clock and because you trigger more than you actually like draw climaxes. And there's an
Yeah.
argument for standby being better as a trigger. Yeah. I've also heard people talking about blank gates, but
That's what Japan runs. They run Doors standby.
yeah, they
which
run
is, like,
door
really
standby. They
weird.
don't run the book combo,
I
which
I
is like
feel like
really bad.
I feel like they have to use Lucky. I mean that just means they have to use Lucky Beast at level 1, right? I think that's just what it means.
Yeah, but they don't even run 3/4 Lucky Beast. That's like the
Yeah,
weird part.
that's like the strange part. But I do think that's basically what it means.
No,
Like
a lot of Japan decks actually.
either they don't, like, sometimes you don't need to mill, right? Sometimes you don't need to mill level 1.
Yeah.
So in those games they wouldn't use anything, but in the games where they actually feel like they need to mill, they would just use Lucky Beast. And I guess they just think that like 1 is enough to get it when you need to get it, which is like kind of weird because the only way to get it is the brainstorm. But
The brainstorm doesn't hit
Meh.
off in first deck. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like
Doors is another way. Doors are another way to get Lucky Beasts.
yeah,
Which is actually pretty nice at level 2, for example.
they don't like having like that low of a trigger count. Like if you play like door, book, which is I guess more of a thing that's
You're
on the
doing a
table
lot
here.
less damage.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot less damage, especially because like you not only don't have the restand, but you also don't have the lion,
yeah,
and you're doing less damage on your triggers in general, which
Yeah.
I feel is a little too optimistic as far as believing in your compression
cancels.
engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and for Monogatari, I have like one yellow red list and one yellow red green list.
Yeah.
To cut it
JC's off.
short, Monogatari is not saved. It's still bad. It's a bit better than before.
Like you can play it. It's at the playing at. You can play it at locals now. That's the tier it's in. Take it to locals tier.
Okay, you can talk about your deck first.
Yeah, sure. JC's back, so trying to run as much of it as possible. I can only fit it in 3. Ideally, I'd run 4 because I think that card's one of the best. It is just one of the best cards. It is the best card in the deck. It's like tied with
Best card is the Mayoi level 3
Mayoi,
still.
but it's just like a different kind
Enrique.
of card.
And Akatsuki.
It's like, no, I think JC is comparable to those cards. Card's really good. And everything else is like pretty standard. Maybe the second Salvager is kind of weird, but I'm running Mayoi in this list, and so my aim is to cycle it, give myself opportunity to cycle it. Running like a 4K as a costless level 0 plus, running Brainstorm, running Ricky, all that stuff. Pretty simple. The way the deck plays level 0 has gotten a lot different with JC, because before it was like pretty shit, but now it's pretty good.
Well, you're
That's
running
what
beaters. We
JC
weren't
is.
running beaters before.
Huh?
You're running beaters now. We weren't running beaters before. Like,
Well, the list before was like, before, are you talking about before
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ban list?
yeah,
Or
well, like in general,
or-
yeah.
in general? Well, I think, the old Monogatari list didn't have room for beaters. They just crutched really hard on JC, which is actually honestly fine. But it's a little bit different now. I don't know if you plus enough at level 0 if you don't have a beater of some sort. Yeah, that's the only difference.
This is cute because it can go to stock.
Yeah, it's also like late game trigger information. It's pretty nice. More stock later if you sack, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
The one is very simple.
Yeah. 4 climax combo, 4 outs, and then 2 bombs. The bombs are in there mainly as an extension of level. So like, I don't like to early play in this deck. So the game plan is typically just like try to find lanes for JC to front into, and play bombs that bounce themselves back to hand, hopefully, and brainstorm a
If
little
you're
bit.
a sack.
Oh well, this deck isn't isn't good. So.
Wait,
It's also like your
how
only
many hits
way.
do you have? 16, so like 1/3 at a time. Yeah.
It's also your only way to deal with certain level one level one games, because this deck doesn't get that big.
You cap it like 6, 5, 7k in center.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, 7k in center. Feels bad. Yeah, level 2 is just to change your 1 energy change counter.
hmm
I'm surprised you're running 4 of this.
I run 4 because if I ever want to change, I would prefer to have it there. Otherwise, it's like I'm only running 4 because I'm running the it's my XP, it's my best XP target, because it's like pretty. I don't like leveling Mayui at all for yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And in the context of leveling it, I want access to a little bit more copies because I run the Kiss Shot. The list now, I think, plays the Scrying Shinobu more as an enabler for the Kiss Shot now. I don't usually change that often. I think I only change if I either sacking cancels at level 2 or if I need to pay out some stock. Both are things that don't happen that often. So yeah.
So what's actually interesting about, like, I think the change is actually really good. Like, I think this is a pretty good early play, but it basically got bullied out by anti-change bombs. And now people are
and
running.
If you're playing against a deck that isn't, playing those stuff, you can just play it. It's like fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
The thing is, like, people put in even more anti-change bombs because of Vivid, and now people realize, like, Vivid wasn't actually that good in the end, so people are starting to put them out again because people are playing less Vivid Strike, and like people are just running less level 2 answers. Like, this list doesn't run the stock bomb either right now, so it's obviously meta call and meta dependent.
With the caveat, yeah, I would probably cut like a changer maybe for an anti-change bomb, or like one of the level 3s if I had to run the anti-change stock bomb.
Yeah, so this card is maybe on the upswing again to being good, like as a change, depending on your meta, whatever. It's like a weird cycle of like early plays being good and then being bad again and then being good, and like specifically the ones that get fucked by bombs.
What is up with that banner? Holy crap!
Holy, it's spazzing out. Okay, and I'm still playing green because Kaiki is a busted card. Difference. I'm still running Mononoke. I'm only running one of this. What's the other difference? What were you?
You're running one Salvager.
Oh, I'm not running beaters.
You're also not running beaters. That's fine. Like, whatever.
Yeah, you have JC now. It's okay.
JC's OP. I just like beaters.
Level 1 lineup is just a bit more like same 4-2-4 and 4-2-4 of Climax Combo Bomb and us. I'm running one of the minus soul backup. I still think the card is really good. I won way too many games literally because of this card. That I just feel uncomfortable putting it out.
Won games because Monogatari used to be good, not because of that card, man.
No, I won games because my opponent attacked me for lethal and I minus soul countered
But like, I'm just joking. I think the deck was good enough to put you in the position for that card to be good, I think. I don't know if it's...
Sure. And Yeah, and one copy of Kaiki because Kaiki can still pop cards and just leads to profitable front attacks throughout the game, basically.
What does it pop now? Has it changed since the last time we looked at this list? Like,
Oh, well, it pops
uh,
Kaban, but
oh, it pops Kaban. I
I'm
it
trying
pops
to.
one. It pops one Kaban.
It pops
Yeah.
every Kaban, yeah.
Well, only once because you only run one.
Yeah, that's true. I should probably run two, actually, but like I'm too like lazy to put this deck together because I really don't want to play it. It would just make me depressed. Um, I'm trying to think if there's like a new back row that's 500 power.
I don't think so actually. Maybe Sal. Maybe. The Amagi is
The
500 power.
Magi, yeah.
Yeah, but like that's about it. Maybe.
Yeah. Da, 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 da. Level 2 is also the same to change your one thing. I'm only running 3, but I'm actually like decently often changing or planning to change. Just depends on if the opponent has an answer or not. And it just happens to be the case that more often than not they don't. Which is also like one more reason to like play a counter. To like help you beat over like the 2 ones that get big. Sometimes. Um yeah, level 3 is basically extended by the green cards.
Yep.
The early play is like pretty decent sometimes. Like if there's something that wants to stay on field, you can just eat it. But this is more like usually this goes into level just, and you don't really early play that often. But like if you want to, you can use this as an early play instead of this, and this will usually be like pretty decent. Um, the anti backup event text is pretty nice. Yeah, and it also gets like absurdly huge. And the clock kick is just extra finishing power, which the deck doesn't have a lot of. So every bit counts or something like that.
But you're not playing one of those over Amagi, right?
Oh well, if I'm at 3-0, I'm probably am.
No. Yeah, that's fair. Sure. Hmm.
Um, what does this deck do? Not a lot.
Plays JC. That's about it.
Has Maya level 3 and has Kiss Shot, which is kind of cute. Um, don't play 2/2 Cat Choice. The deck does nothing.
Uh,
And don't play
does this
the
deck do anything?
well, it does more than 2/2
Come
Cat
on, man.
Choice. It actually has like some semblance of an end game.
Yeah. I mean, you could like play.
The
There
early
are
play is
other.
pretty like if the early play doesn't get answered, it's pretty powerful too.
No, I mean you could say the same thing about cats, right?
Yeah, but cats get
In the
out.
same vein.
Well, cats
If you
die
run
to early
doors,
plays, I
cats. I mean, if you run cats, you can probably play the Kitagi combo. It's like
Oh,
not
the
the
burner.
best. It's not the best, obviously. It's not like not comparable to Maui, but you know.
What do you think
They're
about
never gonna
the Hitugi burner in this list?
in this list.
Yeah, or like in your
Uh,
yellow red one.
I
I don't like the card, so I
I
didn't
just
put it
I
in.
just I just value healing more. If I had more slots, I would run it. Like if I had like four more, if the decks were allowed to be 54 cards, I'd probably run it, right? Um, but I like that the Hitagi is the healer.
I
Can't
don't
see
like the
myself.
Hitugi Hito. I don't like any of the red level 3s.
Well, like if you have to run one, I think I'd rather it be the healer because
Yeah,
like
that's why
uh
I'm running the healer.
yeah.
You can probably run the gate, but like I think having to play down the gate is already bad, and then like only getting one ping out of it is, why
Yeah, you're
bother?
not.
Why
Yeah.
bother playing a climax? You're probably dealing more damage if you just swing like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that was like update on Monogatari and Kemono. And I guess like you guys can comment what you want me to cover. I'm thinking about like Bang Dream, Milky, KC updates. But like if I do KC, I do it in combination with something else. Because that also won't be very long. So yeah. If you have something to tell me in the comments or like message me on Facebook or Discord. And if you have something to tell to Tom, you can find him on Facebook
Or Discord.
or Discord. Yeah.